While Tielemans is happy to be playing for Adidas, Julian Alvarez is wishing that he could be playing for Barcelona. He's made it very clear that he wants to leave Atletico Madrid despite signing a contract that doesn't expire until 2030 and has a release clause of €500 million. The Julian Alvarez transfer drama has gotten so out of hand that I don't even know whose side I'm on anymore. On the one hand, I want to see a young talented striker like Alvarez thrive, but at the same time no one forced him to sign his 6-year contract with Atleti. So today we're going to take a closer look at how Alvarez went from being Atletico's second biggest signing ever to being booed by his own fans at home, and why this hostage situation has turned into such a big drama. But before we talk about how Spider-Man got stuck at home, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, it really helps out a lot. So Julian Alvarez memes like this one and this one are everywhere, but to understand how we ended up here, just let me set the scene for y'all real quick. Despite performing well for Manchester City as a substitute for Haaland, the Argentine striker wanted more playing time and a guaranteed starting role in big matches. So when Atletico Madrid showed interest in the summer transfer window of 2024, Julian Alvarez left the dominating City and happily joined Spain's third biggest club, Atletico de Madrid. He signed a 6-year contract with the club with a fixed gross salary of approximately €12.5 million a season, making him one of their highest earners. And 6 years is a serious commitment in football, especially when you're joining a club at 24 years old. So not only was this contract quite long, but it came with a ridiculous release clause of 500 million bumbleclot euros. That release clause is so ridiculous that all of a sudden Elliot Anderson's $153 million transfer fee looks like a bargain. And while Real Madrid and Barcelona hand out billion-dollar release clauses for superstars like Lamine Yamal or Kylian Mbappe, Atletico and Alvarez are not quite on that same level. So a player like Alvarez, who got used to winning trophies at Man City, probably should have thought twice before signing to a club who bottles titles more often than Arsenal and Dortmund. At least they are finishing second. And Alvarez is a talented striker, but I would be shocked if any club in the world is willing to pay 500 million euros for him. Not even Rafinha can save him with such a high release clause. So by signing this 6-year contract, he really set himself up for failure and frustration. Fast forward 2 years, and after 2 long seasons at the club, Alvarez already wants out. And to be fair, I can't blame him for wanting to leave Atletico Madrid. I watched 2 Atleti games at the beginning of the 25-26 season and immediately reevaluated how I was spending my free time. And that's coming from someone who was willingly watching Allegri ball at Milan week in and week out. Alvarez left Manchester City because he wanted to be the star of his own team and compete for the biggest trophies in Europe. And he definitely became a starter for the club, but he should have done his homework on the trophy part. And after 2 seasons without winning a major trophy at Atletico, Alvarez decided that he was ready for another move. I guess that 2 years at Atletico is enough to make a grown Alvarez hate his life. He showed up to this season's photo shoot like me on a Monday morning when I had to work a boring 9 to 5. These images look more like mugshots than they look like a proper preseason photo shoot. But the problem isn't that Alvarez just wants to leave Atletico. It's that he wants to join Barcelona. You know, one of the teams that Atletico are competing for the La Liga title with every season. I can promise you that the club that has over $1.5 billion of debt does not have $500 million laying around for a new striker. But despite barely being able to afford a new Camp Nou, throughout the summer they were heavily linked with Alvarez. Barcelona even submitted a €100 million bid for him, which Atletico obviously turned down. After they denied another bid from Barcelona, Alvarez publicly admitted that he wanted to leave Atletico to, quote, fulfill his dream of joining Barcelona. Meanwhile, Atleti president said that, quote, we are going to help Julian Alvarez. We cannot allow other clubs to decide what we have to do and disrespect us. Which is corporate talk for, yeah, buddy, you're not going anywhere anytime soon. And so while Alvarez desperately wants to get out, Atleti's president is doing everything he can to keep him there. But what about the fans? How are they reacting to all of this? He unintentionally recreated this meme when he stormed off the pitch after the match instead of greeting the fans with the rest of the team. And according to everyone's favorite football journalist, Diego Simeone said that, quote, it was a club decision to not let Julian Alvarez go over with his teammates to greet the fans. So on the one hand, you have a player who made it clear that they want out, and on the other, you've got a club who turned down multiple bids for said player. and now the fans are unhappy with their star player as well. Meanwhile, Alvarez gets to pout on Atleti's bench. He's got the same facial expression as me when I'm watching my club lose another Der Klassiker to Bayern. At this point in time, there's two clear sides to this argument. Some fans are on Alvarez's side, posting things with the hashtag #FreeJulian online. They argue that forcing a player to stay against his will is just as bad for everyone involved and that they might as well let him leave for Barca. Others feel like he is simply suffering the consequences of his own decisions, saying that he shouldn't have signed the contract if he wasn't ready to commit to the club for that period of time. And I really wonder what changed for Alvarez, because surely he knew that Atletico wasn't known for winning trophies, right? I understand that he's trying to do what's best for him in his career, but the way he's gone about it could have been better. Like, a lot better. It would be one thing if Alvarez was begging for a move back to England or to the Saudi League, but Barcelona? Why should Atletico give one of their biggest rival exactly what they want just because Alvarez woke up and decided it was time for something new? But then on the other hand, I don't know if keeping a player who clearly doesn't want to be there is the best idea either. Not only is he one of your top earners, but he's publicly asking to leave and even your own fans are booing him. Maybe accepting Barcelona's offer and buying yourself a new striker who actually wants to be there is the better decision. Sure, you'd be giving him the satisfaction of leaving and essentially giving him exactly what he's asking for, but at least you know your star player isn't sitting on the bench like this. The following interaction between German YouTuber Figo and an Atleti fan sums up the situation perfectly. Fiago asked, "Why are we acting like he's going through some sort of tragedy right now? He's not getting the transfer he wants, it happens to hundreds of professional players every summer." To which the Atleti fan answered, "The only tragedy here is that we paid 90 million euros for a guy who only scored 8 goals in La Liga last season." Both sides are making strong arguments. Sure, hundreds of players don't get transfers they want every single summer, but demanding 500 million euros for a striker who only scored 8 goals throughout their past La Liga season is diabolical as well. And to be honest with you, I don't know which side I'm on, because as much as the situation sucks for Alvarez, this really isn't some sort of big tragedy. This whole transfer situation blew up mainly because Alvarez publicly made it clear that he only wanted Barcelona, which Atletico then publicly fought back. All these Alvarez memes really are just the cherry on top. Me while making a wrong decision, and then me when the consequences hit is genuinely so relatable. So where do we go from here? Because Atletico obviously doesn't want to sell Alvarez, Alvarez obviously doesn't want to stay, and Barcelona obviously want him but don't exactly have €500 million laying around. So unless one of those three things actually changes, we're basically stuck in a transfer standoff. Atletico could eventually give in and accept a more reasonable offer, Alvarez could be forced to stay and somehow try to repair his relationship with the fans, or another club could come in and give everyone an easy way out. Regardless of what happens, someone is gonna have to give in. And until then, us neutral fans get to enjoy my favorite Marvel movie, Spider-Man Stuck at Home. So I was just about to upload this video and it seems like there's been some new developments since writing the original script. Arsenal has shown interest in Alvarez and put in a €150 million bid for him. And Real Madrid's Jose Mourinho is also interested in signing the Argentine striker, but let's be honest, Alvarez already came out and said that he only wants to play for Barcelona, so if he did somehow end up at Real Madrid, he might be the first player who's hated by Atletico fans, Barca fans, and Real Madrid fans. And although Arsenal would be a great transfer for him to replace a certain hair flick merchant, I don't really see this transfer going through considering Alvarez only wants Barcelona. It really seems like he's going to be stuck there for at least one more season before he gives up his hopes on going to Barcelona and signs to another club. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Anyways, Mamma Mia!